Welcome to this tutorial on my anchor blaster. This one here is, I'm setting it off. This is my original air tank that I had purchased way long ago. It's a 7-gallon air tank. So at Fright Props, you can actually buy the anchor blaster kits, which this is that type of air blaster. It's considered an ankle blaster. The kits give you the option of an air tank. I didn't need an air tank because I had one, but if you need one, they offer that too. This is basically the assembly that I purchased through Fright Props, which is, I keep setting it off because it's on right now. This is the regulator. So your air runs into the regulator. It has a pressure dial or gauge on the other side of this, and it allows you to, by this bottom portion, you can adjust the air pressure coming in from your air compressor. Then it goes into this pneumatic valve here, which basically opens and closes. So you can do it with water, you can do it with air. So this particular one, I'm doing it with air because I don't want to make everybody all soaked. So this will actually work on these wire setups here, and this Peekaboo 1, which is right here, this actually is also purchased from Fright Props. So the Peekaboo 1 is very valuable in this build because that will allow you to set your bursts of air. Whereas if you're just using a motion sensor, you can bypass the Peekaboo 1, but the motion sensor will just open, basically, if you run it to the wire, and it's just going to open the valve up. So basically, how much air you have in the tank, it's going to release it until your motion sensor, whatever you're using, resets, and then it'll do the same thing again. So that's not what you want with an air blaster, because you just blast all your air out, and then the motion sensor will probably reset before your tank is finished filling, and then it's going to just try to fire again. So that's not going to work out right. So the Peekaboo is where you set your blast of air or blast of water, whatever you're squirting or shooting out. And what I like to do is do like really quick little bursts of air, because the ones that come, well, actually that you can purchase on Fright Props with this is only a 5-gallon, this is a 7-gallon, and even this will run out of air fast. And then basically your compressor's got to refill it again. So the quicker you can do your recording for the blast, it's going to better work out for you for the actual hunt or show that you're putting on to get the action out of it. So what I like to do is record 3 quick bursts, and then I leave the record running after the last burst, just so it gives you like a bigger time span for the system to reset. Because if you have a kid that's walking around the area and stuff like that, and he's right there and he's doing some moving, or other kids, it's just going to keep retriggering. So you want some kind of time frame in between the actual reaction of your prop, and then time to reset, and then retrigger again. So it's not going to be perfect because there probably will be a lot of kids around whatever you're putting these things at. So as soon as that thing resets, it's probably just going to retrigger again. So make sure the longer duration you have between your last, whatever you want it to do, your last squirt of air, try to ride it out as long as you can before that thing resets. So I got this all hooked up right now. The Fright Props, and I'll put a link of the Fright Props actual assembly of this, because when I put this together, we just reached September 1st. I live in Florida, and it's been hot, really hot. So when I built this, I was sweating all over the place, watching the video. It was not more hotter than what I thought, but it actually took some, adjustments in trying to figure out some calculations on what they were using versus what came in the kit, because some stuff looked a little bit different. But I mean, all in all, it's not hard to put together. I don't want to scare anybody away with that. So it is pretty easy to put together. You just got to basically pay attention and kind of look at what they give you in the kit, and then say, okay, I think this is the piece they're referring to, and let's use it on that, because there's a lot of reducers and stuff like that. I opened all my stuff up. I'm not sure if the packaging actually had, excuse me, the sizes on it. I opened all my stuff up and I laid it out. So I don't know exactly what the size of the fittings were that they gave me. And that was the whole reason why I went with Fright props, because you can build one of these things minus the PIR sensor and minus the peekaboo. You can build one of these a lot cheaper than what you can get at Fright props. The problem is you got to go and figure out all these reducer sizes and put everything together to make this work. And then you're still going to have to go out and get yourself some kind of sensor, which I'm assuming you probably could use one of those spotlight sensors or whatever that they sell for like patios or whatever, if you installing a spotlight outside, because I used one of them last year with it's like an electric lead blower that I have, and that worked out great. The problem was it kept resetting, it kept tripping, and the lead blower would just stay on. So you couldn't hear anything. So the kids would be over at the table, they're triggering the leaf blower, which is under the table, which is shooting out at them. They got a kick out of it, but then you can't hear anything for the next, how long they're there. So I wanted something that actually would reset, give you a little bit of pause, and then continue on, resetting and going and pausing, so you have at least a little bit of interaction before it resets on you. That's where the peekaboo comes in. So I don't believe you can buy a peekaboo anywhere else but Fright props. I could be wrong on that, but you definitely need something like that to reset or basically put pauses and do your show with that system. I got the air off right now, so that's what happens when you trigger the unit. It's going to do 3 quick bursts, and because I don't have the air on right now, all it's doing is clicking the solenoid that's in here. So it's basically it's acting like if it had the air, it's just open and shutting, open and shutting, open and shutting. So that's working off this PIR sensor. This is what I'm talking about that I bought through Fright props. Now this particular one through them is like $30, a little over $30. Can you get a motion sensor cheaper than that? Sure. But this one's nice, it's small, it's black, weatherproof, so you can put it outside and stuff. I should say semi-weatherproof, because I'm not sure if that one's fully weatherproof or not. I don't use it until the night of Halloween, so it's not like I'm leaving that out there all month long. So don't hold me to the weatherproof thing, but it looks like it's sealed pretty good, and it looks like, for the majority, it would work okay. I wouldn't, if you want to have much faith in it, I wouldn't leave it out for probably long periods of durations of time. Let me turn on the air, and I'll show you this quickly in action so you can see how the air works with it. Okay, so they recommend about 40 PSIs to run through this. I'm running a really long air line, which shouldn't matter because it's only like 1/4 inch. I think it's around 1/4 inch air line running from the compressor right now over to the tank. This line here will probably even be longer once I run it actually on Halloween night, because I got to run it through my garage. Because my air compressors in the garage are going to run all the way to the front of the yard. So I'll probably actually even have a extension in between the line that I'm using right now. But 40 PSIs, I guess that's more like a safety type good air pressure to get a scare without sending your air tank flying, because if you start throwing a lot of air pressure through this thing, there's a possibility that it could move on you. And once again, it's a burst of air. You're not shooting anything out of it, but you still don't want the air going all over the place, because if it catches the right thing, it could send like a projectile or whatever from it. So always try to listen to what they're saying, because these guys put these things together, they use them all the time. Try to listen to their recommendations and stuff. So 40 PSIs is probably what I'm going to use Halloween night, depending on, how it's working repetitively out there and stuff like that. But once again, 40 PSIs, you're still going to go through the air in this tank pretty quick, even on quick bursts. So your compressor still has to run it. Now, what I did is purchase this dual connector adapter because I run 2 pneumatic props. I'm going to be running this year, and I always run a trash can trommer. So the trash can trommer, that's another thing with air solenoids in it that use a lot of air, and that thing's bashing and playing all night long. So between these two, I'm going to find out this year if my compressor can actually handle that. This is one of those bigger size Walmart compressors. I've had it for probably about a good 5 years now, so if that farts out, I'll end up having to pick up another one, but it did fine thus far using the trash can trommer. It didn't have any issues, but now running 2 pneumatics off it, not sure how it's going to play, but alright, so let's see this in action real quickly. I'll demonstrate the air right now so you can see how this is going to work. See, it was 3 quick bursts, pow, pow, pow. And once again, you can just do a single burst. You can do more than 3 bursts, but the more bursts you do, the faster it's going to blow through the air in that tank. And you can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on there, but the tank's still filling back up. It's almost filled. Now the tank is pretty close to being filled back up again all the way. The problem is you're going to have so much activity, more than not, around the areas you stick these, that this thing is going to run out of air really fast because you ain't going to have all that time to build that pressure back up. So you're probably going to have a lot of times where this thing's like trying to squirt out air that's not in the tank yet until it really gets a break and resets. So what I'll do now is I'll trip it, and then I'll see how fast I can retrip it the second time to see how much air comes out of it. Okay. So the way I have this set up right now with the pause, it actually gives it enough time to build enough air to do another 3 seconds out of it, or 3 bursts out of it, I should say, without it falling flat on its face. Now, if I continue to do that, I'm not sure if it's going to be able to keep up or not. So we'll see if I can keep doing that and actually make it run out of air like if kids are walking around. So you figure, the kids are scared. So that's what I mean about having it timed right. So as much as I tried to actually have it fall on its face with running out of air, the amount of time span that I give it in between the shot and the next series where it resets itself, it has enough time to pump enough air in to continue shooting. So that's why you want to stay away from the long bursts of air, because on the long bursts of air, you're going to fall flat on your face with these things. You're going to have to do quick bursts. Whether it's a single, the single's probably the best one to do, because then you could put a big pause, and then basically, when it recycles, it's going to have plenty of time to build up another good first shot. The way I'm doing it with the rapid bursts, I don't know how much more you can go besides 3, because I'm watching that pressure gauge. It goes almost all the way down in the tank. And then when it resets, it's building up maybe like a quarter of a way, and then basically it hits again. And what I mean by putting a pause is when you buy these kits, the Peekaboo, there's also a video where the guy, you want to go to the Peekaboo basically tutorials on this, not the ankle blaster, because the ankle blaster tutorial is what I had to use to build the ankle blaster, but he uses a trigger in his video, which is just a button trigger, and it's nothing like the peekaboo, because the peekaboo, you're hooking the peekaboo up to this thing, where what he's showing you is he's showing you directly hooking up this trigger mechanism, and then he ties in something else with it, the power wire he ties into, so it's like an entirely different setup. So you can't watch his setup if you use the peekaboo button. You can only watch his setup if you're going to use like a manual trigger or something like that, which I didn't want to have to manually set this thing off all the time. So watch the peekaboo one. They'll show you how you hit the red button, and then you click what you want to do for a combination, whether it's 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, or whatever like that, and then just let it ride out the recording. Don't just tap the recording button again, because as soon as you tap the recording button again, that means you just locked in that time frame. So if you leave the recording button after you do your combination, just let it ride out. It'll eventually time out, and then basically you'll have that recording in it. Let the whole thing run, so you have the longest amount of time in between what trips this thing. I mean, yeah, it would be cool if you could trip it all the time, but you're not going to build up that air pressure that fast, so I'm just giving you that heads up. So if you have any questions on this, let me know, but this is it in a nutshell. That's basically, and this kit is right around just under $300, I believe, for the ankle blaster kit, and that doesn't come with the tank. So once again, these things you can probably buy cheaper, like I said. At least all this top portion stuff, you definitely can buy it cheaper off Amazon, probably like a Harbor Freight or something like that. But if you go through, like, want to just have everything that you don't have to worry about, and you go through them, what I do suggest is you probably pick up an air tank, because I don't know how much they'll charge you for shipping on the air tank. The price might not be that much different to order it through them, but to ship it, and they're probably going to hit you with a little bit more fee, because that's a bulkier item. So, but in any case, hopefully that helped. Happy hunting out there, and hopefully this thing does well this Halloween, and hopefully my air compressor holds up. So, all right, stay scary, everybody.